Sausage. Hello, and welcome to another episode of First, the show where I, Marcus Nez, gives you my first impressions on a game, and this here episode is all about Shadow Warrior 3, a fast-paced first-person shooter where you kill hordes and hordes and hordes of yokai while listening to your buddy. I don't even know what your name is. What is your name? You're just the Shadow Warrior. That's what I'm going to say. You're the Shadow Warrior, and you get to listen to yourself say some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard in a long time. It makes Duke Nukem seem like the funniest, most creatively written character ever. But it's delivered exuberantly, enthusiastically. The voice acting is really good and does its best at making the horrible writing less horrible. But there's only so much they can do. Then again, who really cares about the writing or the characters or the story when you're here really for the action, for the shooting? And you know what? It's pretty good. It reminds me more so than any shooter of this ilk like Doom, Quake, etc. It reminds me most of Serious Sam. I don't have much experience with the Shadow Warrior series. I've dabbled in the previous games, playing them for maybe like 15-30 minutes max, and this one I've played for 2 hours now. I've made it roughly halfway through the game because there are 9 levels and I'm halfway through the 5th, so it doesn't appear to be a long game. Don't know how that compares to the previous games, but in terms of shooting, why it reminds me more so of Serious Sam than, say, Doom and the like is that it is very fast-paced, and they throw a lot of enemies at you at one time, and there's not as much oomph behind some of your weapons. I thought the shotgun was pretty disappointing. It's all right. It's not terrible, but a shotgun should really give me that ooh, that I should feel that oomph, and it had a mild oomph, but the real oomph in the shooting comes from the rail gun or whatever it's called, which is my favorite gun by far. The second I got it, I was very happy. It's so much fun to use. It doesn't have a lot of ammo, but it's super powerful, and if you pull off your shots, it is very strong and very satisfying. But in my 2 hours with the game, it was a bit of a mixed bag. And tangent. Random tangent. But you know what? I live in Chicago. It's nice for once in this early spring of the year. And I just heard an ice cream truck driving by my block. It's like, oh my God, it's a nice day. Pull out the ice cream truck. Guess what? It's not going to be nice the rest of the week, you stupid ice cream truck. Anywho, the shooting and the game itself is a bit of a mixed bag. A mixed bag in that when it's focused on the shooting and the action, feels really good. It's not, again, the best shooter out there, but it's pretty satisfying. It's better than Serious Sam. I find Serious Sam to be very mindless because in my experience with them, they're just, throwing at you a bunch of enemies, and it doesn't look that great, and there's not much you can do outside of shooting. But, if you want to just have a bunch of crazy explosions and gore and violence, it's good for that. Shadow Warrior feels like a more thought out, polished, everyth's better version of Serious Sam. And, it's not serious. Though Serious Sam isn't serious either. That's the joke. But when it's focused, Shadow Warrior 3, that is, when it's focused on the action, on the shooting in these arena-esque spaces, it's really fun because you're allowed to use all the guns in your arsenal and the handful of abilities you have to take down these hordes of enemies in creative and fun ways. And when you really get things going, and especially after you level up a few things a bit, you can get into these flow states where everything is just happening and you're not even thinking about what's going on. You're just in it and everything is running so smoothly and feeling so good, and it's just really, really satisfying. But all those moments outside of those arena-based areas, it's not so great because it's just linear platforming, mild parkourish elements where you have these green vines that you can do wall runs on or climb up, and they're a little finicky with whether or not they register you're attached to them, and there are parts of the geometry where if you touch it, you just die because it's, I don't know, it's confused. But those moments aren't great. It doesn't help that those moments are also when you're getting a good chunk of the story, or more so the dialogue, that is it's really bad, man. It is really, really bad. I think the cutscenes are actually handled pretty well, and there's some cool editing they have fun with, and I was pleasantly surprised by those. But whenever a character opened their mouth, I was just like, shut it, put it back in reverse, rewind, stop talking, just let me shoot things again. In addition to just shooting enemies, you have a katana with you at all times, which is crucial because your ammo is limited and you will have to resort to your katana to take down enemies quite often. It's a little disappointing that the katana really just is a button mashing melee attack. I think I've heard that in the second game, at least, and maybe all the other ones, there was a bit more in terms of move sets for your katana, so you could do side swipes, overhand, lunges, etc. And in here, you're just doing a general swipe. You're just mashing the button. There's no strategy or extra stuff you can do with a katana. It's just swipey, 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 swipey. But as you level up, which I mentioned a little bit ago, when you level up a few things, it really helps round out the combat scenarios and the feel of the game. Because at first, it's just kind of, you shoot, and then you run out of bullets, and then you kill everyone else with your sword. You'll get ammo from various pickups in the environment. But there are a few abilities that you get via leveling up, because you can level up all of your weapons 3 times, and your character and his abilities as well. And these are 2 separate trees with their separate leveling orb things that you can find in the environment, or by completing challenges you can get some leveling up tokens as well, whatever the hell they're called, I don't know. But the abilities that really help in making the combat flow feel really, really good are the ones that give you ammo for your guns when killing an enemy with your sword, and then give you health when killing enemies with your guns. So you will get into this cycle of shooting enemies when your health is low and refilling your health via that, and when you are starting to run out of ammo, you pull out that sword, start slashing away, get more ammo, then go back to your guns, and you're just in this loop that feels really, really good. You also have a basic dash ability, a grappling hook that allows you to fling yourself around the environment, hitting certain points, and also allows you to grapple your way to an enemy, and a chi blast, which refills relatively quickly. It's maybe 2 seconds or so to refill that, and that'll push basic enemies away. You can upgrade that later on as well to push back the more medium-sized enemies. And then you have a finisher move that you build up by killing enemies. There are 2 levels to that. One which will let you take out the basic enemies, and then a second one if you let it build up to that point for taking down the middle range bosses. And what's nice about the finishing moves is that, and this also adds to the strategy, is that depending on the enemy, when you take them out, you'll get some kind of brief ability or weapon that you can use for that short period of time. One of the basic enemies, you pull their skull out, their face off, and you throw it somewhere, and in the general vicinity of where you threw their head, their face, their whatever you exactly took out, it'll do a little freeze blast and freeze enemies in that area, so you can take them out easily. And then with all the mid-tier characters, I don't want to call them mini bosses, but that's what keeps coming to mind. But with these mid-tier characters, when you take them out with one of the finishers, you usually get a weapon related to them or their actual weapon. There's this one sword-wielding dude who, when you take him out, you get his sword, and then you can just lock on and dash immediately to all these enemies and kill them with one shot, which is pretty satisfying. There's a little, I don't know, jack-in-the-box thing that's annoying as shit, and when you kill that thing, you get its little accordion razor blade shooter that whenever I got that gun and used it, I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know if I'm actually killing anyone or hitting anyone with this, but whatever. At least that stupid Jack-in-the-Box is dead. When it's focused on the action, I had a really good time with it. When you're doing platforming and having to listen to the story, it's not that great. Thankfully, it's mostly action and not so much platform. And the platform is not terrible or anything. It's just a little finicky, and it's most cumbersome or most annoying when walking on small platforms, like long pieces of wood that you can easily fall off of because it's a very fast-moving game, and you could easily just accidentally fall off of them. There's not much in terms of exploration and secrets to find. At least I didn't see much. There's stuff here and there, and hidden orbs for improving your character and leveling up and all that. But yeah, I liked it overall. I think in terms of what it's trying to do action-wise, it pulls it off mostly. It's fun. It works well on a controller. I do think it would work better on a mouse and keyboard, as I believe any fast-paced shooter would. And like I said, even though the story and writing, I mean, the story, who cares? Whatever. The story is whatever. But the writing, the jokes, they're really bad. Even though they're as bad as they are, the fact that the voice acting is as good as it is and is aware, seemingly, of how stupid it all is, it mostly makes up for the fact that it is so bad, because at least it sounds like the voice actors were having fun recording this dumb shit. And that is something that does make it mildly enjoyable. But when I stop and think about what they actually said, I'm like, God, man, is this how people feel when they listen to my stuff and my jokes? Because I want to stop trying to be funny ever again if that's how people feel about my crap. Yeah, I like it. I'm not sure how replayable it is. I don't know if there was like a high score mode or arcade mode or anything of that ilk, so how much you'll get out of replaying it after you finish it, I can't say. But if you're looking for a fast-paced shooter that looks all right, I didn't really talk about the visuals. It looks fine. It's got decent art direction. The characters kind of look shitty. They kind of look, I mean, it does give me that Serious Sam vibe, also in the sense that it doesn't look that great. It looks better than Serious Sam. Don't get me wrong. It looks better than Serious Sam. Like I said, this is like a good Serious Sam with a lot more polish. But if you stop moving and just look at the environment and the actual detail and everything, you'll notice that it's not the greatest looking game. But since you are moving so often and moving so fast in motion, it looks great and it feels great, runs really well. I'm playing on the Xbox Series X and had no issues performance-wise, which is definitely way more important than having like the prettiest game. So that is also a good thing. And you know what else is a good thing? The fact that this is the end of the episode, because my God, if I go on and on and on, enough. So that will do it for this episode of First. Once again, I am Marcus Nez. Y'all can find me on Twitter and pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you'd like to see me streaming games like Shadow Warrior 3, you can do so over at twitch.tv/PX Sausage. If you'd like to check out the videos I make and you aren't already doing so, you can do that over at youtube.com/Pixelated Sausage. Like, subscribe, hit that bell, and all that jazz. That is again youtube.com/Pixelated Sausage. Speaking of Pixelated Sausage, if you put a little dot in the com after that, what do you got? What do you got? You got my website, baby. Pixelatedsausage.com, where you can find more stuff like this, as well as the art I'm making. If you see something you like, you can purchase a print of the piece you fancy. And if you fancy the site in general and anything that we do, please go over to patreon.com/PXS and support us that way. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye!
That's what she said.